Good morning, Uprisers. This is Tricia LaCroix with Sacred Uprising Institute. This is a one-stop oasis for a platform of oneness, a consciousness of oneness, an oasis for continued life expansion from beginners to masters to beginners again. And today I have Laurie, who will be with us today. So let me in the meantime, while I'm waiting for Laurie to come on board, hey Dak, I see you, I miss you, I love you. I am going to be sharing this on some of our other platforms so people can be watching this live. So just give me a moment while I do that. So I have some announcements to make, and just to get us started off on the right foot this week. And okay, so now it's shared. Thank you so much. Okay, so we have an exciting roundup of our teachers for this week. Today we have Laurie. That is our one video for today. She is going to be teaching Seeking and Embracing Your Truth. This is just another beautiful discussion in her series of Tradition to Truth. Tomorrow we have 4 different teachers that are going to be speaking. We have Bliss, who will be continuing her series on the Conscious Evolver. We have Terry, who's our energy healer. She is going to be talking about anger, the emotion nobody wants to talk about. And we have Lisa, who's going to be doing her second in her series of the Sacred Altar. And then Thursday we have, once again, a packed day full of videos as well. We do have a couple additions. Bliss on Friday is going to be doing it's her Reiki. She's going to be teaching us Reiki, so I'm sure many of you will be excited about that, to learn a little bit more about Reiki, how we can use it, what it does for us. And we also are going to be bringing on board, as I had mentioned before, Courtney Walsh. She's a published and a successful author, and her book is Dear Human. So Laurie, I'm just waiting for you to come on board. So give me 1 second while waiting for Laurie to come on. We have still this beautiful quartz that still has not, the person who won it still has not, give me 1 second, I have to get her on. Okay, so the person who won this, Kea, she still has not reached out to us, even though we've reached out to her a few times. So I'm still waiting to hear from her. But like I said, as of Friday, she didn't reach out. So we will be picking a new person to win this. Now, the person who wins this is somebody who subscribed within our contest. So somebody who will see this. The other thing, if you go to our Instagram, it's Sacred Uprising, and you start following us on Instagram, within the next couple of weeks, we will be, hey, Laurie, something's really loud on your end.
Really? There's no sound over here.
It's a static. It's a really loud static.
I'm not sure why that is. I'm not hearing anything.
Okay, it died down as soon as you started talking, so maybe it's just something going on. Maybe you're just so high vibration that we're hearing your energy.
The two of us together, it's no telling, really.
Right. So anyways, go to our Instagram, and in the next couple weeks, from all the people that go ahead and like it, there will be one person who wins a 30-minute session with Courtney. She is our admin at Sacred Uprising. She will be doing distance energy healing. It's Reiki. So so don't forget to do that. And just look for the peony. That's how you'll know it's a Sacred Uprising, because I'm sure there's quite a few Sacred Uprisings. So anyways, it is so good to see you. You look like you had a great weekend. You're all glowing and smiley, and you look amazing.
Yeah, weekends are good right now, as you know.
Right.
As you know. And I'm so excited. And this topic, like this one is one of my favorites in this, because our truth is what is so important to this journey. Like, that's what this journey is. It is about finding our truth. And I was actually talking to my brother last night about this very topic. We were talking about how we are always on the path. You know, even when we don't think we are, even when we're running from our truth, we're actually moving towards it. And that's the interesting thing about it. So it's this thing that's always happening with us.
You know, you saying
You want to say
that just
something?
really, first of all, hey, Krista, so glad you're watching. When
Hi,
you
Krista.
say
Hey,
that no
Dad.
matter what direction you run, whether you run towards it or whether you run away from it, grace radically pursues us. It does not matter
Yes.
what direction you're running. You're still on the
It
path.
doesn't
You can't
matter.
get away from it because it's who you are.
Because it's who we are, and this infinite divine love that exists for us, that is its
Right.
goal. So this is why I love all the various traditions, because if you look at like the Hindu tradition and you look at the life of Krishna, you know, as an avatar and how he often used tricks, you know, he was considered a trickster. He often used tricks to accomplish the greater good. And sometimes when we think we're moving away from our greatest good, we think we're moving away from what the divine has in store for us, we're actually moving towards it. It's almost like a trick.
Right.
It's almost like a trick that you get to move that way, but that's not where you're going. But on that line, you know, let me not digress. So let's talk about truth. Let's talk about truth. This is such a rich topic. Hey, Dak, good to see you. This is such a rich topic, and truth is such an interesting word. Such an interesting word. What is truth? You know, what is truth anyway? And when I really want to know truly what the definition of a word is, I'm a researcher and I am a student, perpetual student. So I always go to the dictionary. My favorite two are Webster's and Oxford because they're the oldest two out there. So I want to read the definition of truth according to the Webster's dictionary. According to Webster's, truth is the body of real things and events and facts. Actuality. Truth is the state of being the case. It's fact. Truth is transcendent. It's transcendent, fundamental, or a spiritual reality. That is such a rich definition to me, because if I break that down, and I say that it is a body of real things, that truth needs to be real to me. It's a body of something is real. And it says the body of real things, events and facts. So if it's an event that's real to me, then it becomes truth. If it is it a fact as something that I have come to as a conclusion, then it becomes truth. And I really love this third definition, a transcendent. Transcendent means an existence or experience, an experience beyond the normal or physical level, an experience beyond the normal, not a thought, not an idea, not something somebody told me, not something that somebody said to me. It is an experience that I have had beyond the normal or physical level. Then it says fundamental, forming a necessary base. So it's an experience that creates the base for my truth. Like the basis of my truth is my experience, and that's what makes it true. And then it says, or a spiritual reality. A spiritual reality. And we don't often think of spiritual as real or as a reality, because it's often the unseen. But what makes it a reality for us is that transcendent, that causes us to have a fundamental basis for why we believe what we believe and what we know that we know. And then it uses this. I really like this. It says a judgment or preposition that is accepted as true, and it uses thermodynamics as an example. And that's a scientific example. And I love that because thermodynamics wasn't always considered science. Right. Thermodynamics, like all science, was a theory at some point. But how do we know that thermodynamics is truth? The reason I know that thermodynamics is true is because I can take a metal pot full of water and put it on the stove, and I can turn that stove on. See, thermodynamics is the relationship between heat and activity and heat, and the transfer of heat through that process. So I can take a pot and I can put it on a stove and I can turn that stove on, and the heat, which we now call energy, will transfer to that pot, will transfer to that water, and the water will boil. See, that's an experience now that I'm having. I can see it's boiling. If I touch it, I know it's boiling. And then in addition to that, if it boils long enough, that heat transfers into steam, and now I have a whole other experience that says to me that thermodynamics is real. So this is called science, and we don't often associate science with spirituality. But when we're talking about truth, our ability to come to our own truth, it comes through our being what I call a spiritual scientist. We want to become spiritual scientists so that we are testing and we are proving our truth. See, the reason that so many people don't go into this journey, and that's why I commend any of us who do, because of course it's much easier to sit and let somebody tell me what truth is. And then if that's been ingrained into me over a long period of time, I can then go, okay, well, this is truth because enough people have said that it's true. And so therefore it must be true. But if I have no experience, if I have no tangible, fundamental basis that's tangible to me, then really can I call that truth?
And it could be
really can I call that
right.
truth?
And what people confuse is that that might be their truth, but you have to find your own truth. You have to find your own truth.
It's got to be yours. So as a spiritual scientist, we find what is palpable, what is real to us. And you can't argue that. You know, I've told people that you can argue any spiritual work till you're blue in the face. You know, but what kept me when I was going through my darkest periods and questioning things and throwing them up was that I had experiences that I could not deny. And it was in those experiences that I was able to draw my conclusions. Our best conclusions are drawn when they are empirical to us, when they are empirical to us individually.
You know what's beautiful is that, you said that spiritual scientists, I never thought about that terminology. But when on this Sacred Uprising platform, that's what we all are. Because what I have requested, that the only people that come onto our platform, they have to be their experience in motion. Their actions have to match their words. And so you can look at us as that we're spiritual scientists and we have found our truth. I love that. Hey, Aaron, love you, Aaron. We got to talk. We got to talk. So that is Aaron. Actually, I grew up with him back in our church days. So it's great to see him here.
Wow.
So but yeah, a spiritual scientist. Wow, that's a new way to look at it. And it is, you test out the theories, test out your theories, test them out. Because we can tell you what our theories are and what works for us, but it's our truth. You've got to find your truth. Yep.
You've got to find your own. And again, the best way to do that is if you are testing out, if you are having an experience. It may not and probably won't look like the experience of someone else. That's what's so beautiful about this. As we've said before, this whole journey is custom made for us individually. And that's why it becomes our truth and not our parents' truth, not the pastor or not the guru's truth. Right. It becomes our truth, right? We become our own guru through this process because we are testing it out for ourselves instead of allowing someone else to regurgitate a truth back to us. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's no judgment in that, but it's just that for us to be able to truly get to finding what our individual specialized. And if we begin to look at this in the way that I believe it really is, which is a call to a call of love. It's a call of love for us to get in there. Like every relationship, every two people in their relationship have the truths about their relationship. Right. That is sacred and intimate to those individuals. And this is true of the infinite for us as well. There is this sacred, what did I just say? Intimacy. There is this sacred intimacy, which is a purity of our wholeness with the wholeness of all that is.
Because my sacred intimacy with God is going to be different from yours. It's going to be different from anybody that's watching us. So you got to find that. You got to find that and explore it and make it sweet.
And it's so beautiful because it's individualized, because none of us are the same. None of us are the same. And to me, that is the beauty of this journey, is that love is so great, is so transcendent, that it reaches us and it appeals to us in the way that is most suitable for our makeup and our being, for us to come back to it. And that's the beauty of it. So if we can look at it from that standpoint, very often people find this journey to truth sort of intimidating and scary, and understandably so, because you're moving from this space of accepting what you've been told into experiencing it for yourself. And that that takes some
It does.
courage.
It does.
It takes
There's a
bravery.
book, it's called God Knows My Heart by Christine Wicker, and I highly recommend that book. And Christine Wicker talks about her journey from tradition to truth. That's really what she talks about. And I think I've mentioned it before, it's custom made. It's very custom made for each individual because none of us are alike. So everybody has a custom made truth for them. And so I would highly recommend, don't follow my truth. You can't follow Laurie because ours are custom made for us. But you can pick and choose through everybody's truth, whatever resonates with you. Now, if nothing resonates with you, then that's fine too. But you can pick and choose and create your own truth.
And that's the beauty of it. And so this is obviously my passion. What I enjoy helping people do is moving in the direction of their truth. I've had clients who have moved into Christianity, and that's their truth. I've had clients who move strictly into meditation and Buddhism, and that's their truth. My job is not to tell someone what their truth is. It's to simply facilitate the process of someone coming into being able to discover what that is for themselves. Yeah. And it's all beautiful, and it's all right, and it's all good because it's all going to the same place. So then the question becomes, how do we even know? How do we know when we found a truth or our truth? How do we know that? Well, as you said a second ago, truth resonates. Truth resonates. And by resonate, what we mean is it matches you at the vibration that you're at. It's just something you hear and you're like, yeah, that resonates with me. That makes sense to me. That feels right to me. It doesn't necessarily connect with your mental understanding, right? But something intuitively just feels right about it, that you just know that there's truth there for you. And we really are emphasizing the for you part because, as we continually say, it's different for everybody. And the reason that's important is because if we're not careful, we will take our truth and assume that it is universal truth. Right. And then that causes us to be judgmental, or causes us to shut down, or causes us to get in our mind too much. And the reality is, when we're talking about this spiritual thing, it is not conceptual. It's just not conceptual. My truth today is not the truth I had 5 years ago. And the truth I had 5 years ago is not the truth I had 20 years ago. Right. And the truth I had 20 years ago is not the truth I had 40 years ago. The truth has evolved as time has gone on. And that is the beautiful thing about truth, that it evolves. Yes. Aaron says we spoon feed infants nourishment as we grow and we find nourishment for ourselves. We no longer need to be spoon fed truth.
Right. Yes, exactly, Aaron. And that's where Jesus said, be fishers of men. I mean, do you want to be fed a fish, or do you want to have the pole and go and get the fish? The fish was not a real, fish. It was wisdom. It was truth. It was finding out that Christ consciousness within you that's what it was about.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. You're right, Aaron.
Yes, and that's yes, beautiful. Thank you, Erin. And that's where it all is. But truth resonates. When spirit speaks, it speaks. There's an infinite number of ways. There are an infinite number of ways that spirit is able to speak to us. Through nature, through numbers, through other people, through movies, through music. There's an infinite way, but it will resonate with you. And if you have any doubt, which you very may well have in the beginning, then you can always, this is what's beautiful, you can ask for confirmation. You can ask for assistance. I think I heard you, but make it plain. Make sure. For me personally, I used to be, and sometimes I still am, that person who would say, I need you to make it really plain what you're trying to tell me, because I think I got it. But I had so much conditioning, and I was so in my mind all the time that I was well aware that my mind could easily get in the way of what the divine spirit was actually trying to speak to me. So I would humble myself and just say, you know what, I don't want to get this wrong. So I don't want to take a sentence and make a novel out of it, right? I want to know exactly what you're saying. So be clear about that. And spirit will do that for us. That's how beautiful it is. Usually I find that it happens in threes. So you hear the same thing 3 times, or you hear it and then you'll see it and then you'll feel it, or you feel it and you see it and then you experience it. There's 3 things related that will happen and you're like, okay, I got it. Right. I got it. Or it's one massive event that's undeniable to you. Right? And then you can say, okay, I got it. And I encourage people, as we're going through this process of finding our truth and experiencing this truth, that we record those situations that happen, that we keep a diary, or we do a voice diary or something, because because it's individual, you see, because it's individual, and often when we begin to speak about it, because you're like, oh my God, I'm so excited this is happening, I need to talk to somebody. Right. You're gonna want to talk to somebody about it. And if they've not had the same experience to you, I remember once I was relaying an experience that I'd had to someone in the divine, and she said, well, that sounds absolutely incredible. I just can't believe that would happen. And I said, well, of course it sounds incredible to you, because it didn't happen to you. Right. Yeah. It happened to me.
Yeah, I typically
it's credible
say,
to me.
This is going to sound crazy.
Right. Yeah. Like, it's credible to me because it happened to me, but I can appreciate that it would be incredible to you because it wasn't your experience. That's right. But when you record these things and you write them down, it reaffirms and revalidates you that, no, this actually did happen. Like, I recorded it. I remember that dream actually occurred, and it occurred the way that I remember it. That feeling of complete and total overwhelm of love, it occurred to me because I remember writing it down, and as I'm reading it, I'm feeling it all over again. It takes you right back to that experience because, again, the experience is how we validate what is true for us. For us, it doesn't mean it's true for somebody else, but it does mean that it's true for us. So truth resonates. Truth validates. It speaks to us in threes, right? It gives us enough for us to be able to, what is the word for it, have that fundamental basis for why do I believe what I believe? I had someone challenge me on the issue of homosexuality years ago when I switched my thinking on that. And the question that was posed to me was, what have you read in the Bible that leads you to believe that this is okay? And instead of going into what I had studied, because I had, and I could go into a very solid research and study reason as to why I believed what I believe, even biblically. But instead of doing that, because as I said, we can argue that all day long based upon our interpretation. What I said to this person was, I haven't read anything that changed my mind on that. What I have done is had an experience. I have had an experience in love that tells me that love just loves. That was my experience. Right. So I don't, now from that point, I can go and sit down with you and say, now let me take you through my study and show you from a study standpoint what homosexuality actually was back then, and why Sodom and Gomorrah was not destroyed for homosexuality, but for something completely different. We can talk about that. But what's first for me to even be able to go into that conversation and be firm and solid in that discussion is my empirical experience with the divine that tells me that love and the revelation that I had in as you said, my quiet time, when I was doing the work of my spiritual work on my time in my closet, that said to me that this is how spirit is, and this is what it is, and how it reacts and feels and believes about whatever. That's my truth. I'm not going to debate somebody else's truth because that's
no, exactly. You don't debate it. It just there's a saying that says when somebody tells you that you're wrong, just nod your head and go on, because it doesn't matter. It's not about you and your truth. It's about them.
Exactly. And that's what's beautiful too, because when we are solid, when we have the foundation for our truth, we do not have the need to convince people that we're right.
My truth is so strong it doesn't need me to defend it.
It doesn't need anybody to agree with it. I don't need anybody to agree with it, right? Because it's personal and intimate to me, right? And so I hang on to that. So the way that we know that we have encountered our truth is that it resonates with us, that it's been confirmed for us, and that we're firm in it. That our experience has showed and has revealed to us that no matter what anybody else, I don't have any question that there's something higher out there. I have no question about that. You know why? Because I've experienced it.
Yes.
I've experienced it. I have no question. Honestly, Tricia, I understand an atheist.
Yeah.
I understand an atheist who's never had an experience in the divine. I understand that far more than I understand somebody who goes to a building of devotion every week or however and sits there and accepts and believes without having a tangible, palpable experience. I can appreciate the atheist more because their truth is based on their experience or lack thereof. But if we're going to be solid and firm in what our truth is, it requires an empirical, it requires the spiritual scientists to have tested it, to have tried it, and to have had an actual experience in what the divine really is for us individually, for us, for what our truth is. So that's how we know. Now, here's the next thing that happens as we're on this journey, is that we run into all of this conditioning that occurs. And so even when we've gotten something that we're like, okay, something in me is resonating with this, but embracing it can often be a challenge because of the conditioning that we've had over the years, or because of our ideas about what we thought truth was going to look like, or what we thought truth was going to be. I will give you an example. Some years ago, I was led to Kundalini Yoga, and I was a yoga practitioner at that time, but I didn't know what Kundalini Yoga was. So to me, anything that was yoga was all the same, right? Well, I turned on YouTube and I was watching this Kundalini. I was thinking, I'm just going to have my little mat out. I'm going to do a little Kundalini yoga, whatever. And I turned it on and I see these people wearing all white turbans, white outfits, and sitting on these sheepskins. And I was like, I don't know what they're doing. This doesn't look like yoga to me. I'm coming out, because I really didn't know, because my truth at the time regarding yoga was just the physical stretching part of it. I didn't understand that yoga was sadhana. Right. I didn't understand that yoga was part of what could be used as part of a means of helping us reveal our true divine self. And Kundalini yoga in particular is very good for that. But I didn't get it. Something was leading me to it. It was a truth that I was resonating with, but my rational mind couldn't match it up. I couldn't match it up. So I had to continue on the path and move through the conditioning to be able to truly embrace the beauty and the wonder that is Kundalini Yoga, that I actually absolutely love today. That I love today, but I couldn't get it then, right? Because I couldn't embrace it because of what the conditioning was. So what we are going to need to do is to begin to renew our mind. You know, that's what Jesus said. You know, that we renew our minds, that we are not conformed to the conditioning and the systems of this world. What he was talking about is that we are not conformed to what we've been told by the world, by what everybody accepts as reality and truth, but that we renew our minds. Those old tapes that are playing that says, this is weird, this is strange, you know, I don't understand. Sometimes it's just good to replace it with, instead of this is weird or this is incredible, this is unbelievable, to, well, that was new. That was different. Like, I haven't experienced that before, right? So it's new to me versus making it foreign or strange. So we want to begin to renew our mind and our thinking. We want to begin to abandon our prior thoughts about what we believed truth to be. And so for me, I threw it up. I just threw it all up. I was like, I don't know anything. I realized that I don't know anything. I know the one thing that I do know is somebody's out there. Something's going on out there, because I've had that experience in that relationship. Right. Other than that, I don't know anything. I don't know how to interpret it. I don't know what to call it. I just threw it all up. And understand, if I can do this, anybody can, because as I've said before, my father was a minister. My mother's father was a Baptist pastor. My father's grandmother was a minister. You know, I grew up studying the Word of God, which I'm grateful for. You know, I was deeply, deeply entrenched in tradition. But I reached a point in my life where I said, I've got to throw this up. I've got to find out for myself, you know, what is real for me, what is true for me. And if you're watching this, if you are hooked up with Sacred Uprising, you are that person already. I know this. So all that it requires is just throwing it up and asking and just saying, you know what? I'm going to throw it up. I'm going to give up everything that I thought I knew and let all of that go. And I'm going to go into this unknown, because that's what it is. It's an unknown thing that we are working our way through. And we want to be able to become very comfortable with what is unknown. So the secret word today was yield. And I'm going to say it right now. We want to yield to the uncertainty of this journey. We want to yield to the uncertainty of what we don't know. And by the way, the secret word, if you will type it in as a comment, you will get a free 50-minute session with me about some of this to maybe assist you in your journey.
Somebody
if you
type in yield so you can get a free
I think we need to refine
Yes.
this whole secret word
Yes,
process.
we
But
failed
if
to
you type in the
mention
word yield,
at the beginning of the video. So please, the first person that types yield, yay, Krista!
Krista's like,
Yay! Okay.
okay, Krista Rose, I will get with you offline, and we will schedule that. But you want to,
Dak.
we want to yield. Thank you, Dak. We want to yield to the uncertainty of this journey. One of the things that is difficult sometimes in this process is the fear. It's the fear of letting go, because it is, as I've said before, it is groundless. It really, really is. And so we're letting go of the foundation that we once knew. Hey, Marek, thank you. We're letting go of the foundation that we once knew and going into the waters of what we don't know. And that's a lot, what we don't know. Susan Chiochi, who was my Reiki master, she says, well, we don't know is a lot. And she's right. We don't know a lot. And once we can get comfortable with that and comfortable with being in this space of what I call groundlessness, that I want to say is peaceful, but it's only peaceful when we embrace it. When we embrace that it is unknown. And that is actually a beautiful thing, because then whatever wisdom, whatever knowledge that we come to becomes known to us. And then we begin to understand, the deeper that we go into this, yes, Krista, let me stop for a minute. Krista has a question. What is your distinction between yield to the journey and surrender? No distinction whatsoever. The yield actually means surrender. So thank you for saying that, because that's another word that I wanted to use for that. We surrender. We surrender to it. We fall into it, if you will, right? We fall into this particular truth, which is that it's bottomless. Like it's the infinite. So of course, it's the infinite. So of course it's bottomless. There's no end to it. We just move through. And as we do that, then we hopefully get more comfortable with embracing that this is a perpetual process. We embrace the perpetual, that this is a learning and a discovering that continues eternally, that continues for us on an eternal basis. And that then becomes an additional truth that we now carry with us. And as we understand that this is a perpetual process, it really, really, really does afford us the opportunity to allow other people to be wherever they are in their truth. Yes. And that's how we get truly solid. That's where we get to where thank you. Surrender is a better word, yes. And yield can be a triggering word, so I understand that. So that's how we get to the space of being able to allow other people to have their truth and be solid enough in our truth that we don't have to defend it. That we don't have to defend it, which allows us to become more and more of this peace, this divine love and wisdom that we're able to exercise towards others as they're moving through this. And for those of us who, I believe this, for those of us who right now are attached to Sacred Uprising, that part of this journey, like this is just the first part of the journey. What is going to end up happening is our ability to move through this journey and understand our truth and accept and embrace our truth and surrender to our truth is going to allow us to be able to assist others on this journey too, because we are entering days where all of these structures, all of these institutions are going to fall away because we are becoming our own gurus now. And so as we move through this process, the uncomfortability of that for some people, for those of us who have been here and are going through it now, we will be able to offer the love and the support and the safety, the safe space for people to be able to speak about their experiences and to ask questions about things that are happening to them that never happened before, and to let them know that you're not going crazy. That this is part of the divine process of what's happening on the planet and in the universe at this time. So yes, all of that, embrace it. Surrender to the truth that you have, and the more that we surrender and ask for assistance, the more we're able to move through that conditioning that occurs, the conditioning that we have had, or brainwashing or whatever. And I want to say one more thing, and that is forgiveness. I debated if I should mention that first or last, but forgiveness is a huge piece here. because as we move through this process, somebody said you will know the truth, but first it'll piss you off, right? The truth will set you free, but first it'll piss you off, right? And that is often very true. I know when I first found some things that because I had been so conditioned in some things, I really was angry, for a minute about how I had lived my life and how I had denied certain aspects of myself and how I had stayed and prayed or whatever and had gone through all of this, what I would now consider needless suffering, trying to measure up to what I believed truth was at that time. As we move through this process, we want to be able to forgive ourselves first and foremost. Forgive ourselves for accepting something because it was spoon-fed to us, or accepting something because we needed the acceptance of our parents, or we needed the acceptance of our community at that time. So we accepted things even when something maybe was resonating with us, something was speaking to us and saying, wait a minute, there's more here. That we accepted it as factual and truth because it was easier, right? So we want to forgive ourselves for that. You don't know what you don't know. And when you know better, you do better. And that I believe is very, very true. And we want to forgive our parents if we need to, for them standing on, a lot of times truth in families is generational. It's just handed down, handed down, handed down. And so we accept that. So we want to forgive them. We want to forgive any organizations or leaders who we may have submitted to and accepted as giving us truth, because that was their truth. That's why, I said last time, I was like, hey, we want to remember that if we're getting truth through a person, any person, me included, Trisha included, if we're getting truth through that person, that truth is being filtered through the understanding of the one who is giving it. And as long as we get that, then we can accept what resonates with us and go, okay, well, that's their truth. That's not resonating with me right now, but I get that that's their truth. That's why it is imperative that we seek our own, that we understand and know for ourselves, as I said, this scientific proof of what our truth is. Yes, Aaron says, it upset me as to how many people that I led into the church institution teaching others what I now consider wrong. Exactly.
Yeah, but we're going to, there's something that I'm going to read a little later that will actually touch on that, Aaron. So don't be upset about that. So just hang on, because I'm going to read something. But you know what, I think it's beautiful. You do have to forgive, but you also have to understand it got you to where you are. And
exactly.
That is
beautiful. It was all for a purpose.
Yeah.
It was all for a purpose, and you'll be able to come back to it. You'll be able to come back to it. And what it also does is these experiences that we've had, that we've come through, as I said, they're going to help us to be able to assist others, because we can identify now. I can tell you that I was angry and I was upset, and I can tell you that forgiveness and letting that go was the best way for me to relieve the conditioning that I had. And the beauty of understanding that, as we said earlier, that yes, forgive ourselves, that as we said earlier, it doesn't matter what direction you're going. It's all bringing you back to truth. So whatever we were teaching before, whatever we were telling people before, we were telling them wholeheartedly, and those of us who were on this journey, like, and watching these videos, we were whole souled in our truth. We always have been. So whatever we were telling people, we were whole souled in telling them that. So we have to be okay with that, because that was the beauty of where we were and what we were supposed to be doing. And for the record, we were putting them on the path to what is their truth. And if it remains their truth until they die, that's what it was supposed to be. If it evolves into something else, then that's what it was supposed to be. So there were no mistakes here. That's the beauty of it. There were no mistakes here. It all lands us all where we're supposed to be when we're supposed to be.
And like you said, you can run from it, but no matter what, every path you're on is a path to the divine. Every path. So even if it's the wrong path, or it's the wrong path, the path you were on is the wrong path for you today, it still was a path to the divine. So you don't have to, forgive yourself for ever thinking that you needed to be forgiven for bringing somebody down a path, because it is all the path to the divine. Because you know what? Love will win.
Love will win. Yes, and this is a good time for that passage. It's so beautiful, and it works so well with this topic.
So I'm hoping this is really important. So Rob Bell, he is an amazing author. He was a pastor in a church in Michigan. He wrote a book called Love Wins. I read it in 2010, and I remember being in an airport reading it and sobbing at the airport, calling my childhood friend Julie going, I just read a book that makes it all okay. And so I want to read you a passage, and Aaron, you really tapped into it. So thank you for that unknowing,
Yes.
being an unknown catalyst to this. So as we experience this love, there is a temptation at times to become hostile. No, let me go back. I'm sorry, I missed a paragraph. I believe that the indestructible love of God is an unfolding dynamic reality that every single one of us is endlessly being invited to trust, accept, believe, embrace, and experience it. Whatever words you find helpful for describing this act of trust, Jesus invites us to say yes to the love of God
Yes.
again and again and again. And as we experience this love, there is a temptation at times to become hostile to our earlier understandings, feeling embarrassed that we were so simple or naive or brainwashed, or whatever terms arise when we haven't come to terms with our own story. These past understandings aren't to be denied or dismissed, they are to be embraced. Those experiences belong. Love demands that they belong. That's where we were at the point in our life, and God met us there. Those moments were
Yes.
necessary for us to arrive here, at this place, at this time, as we are. Love frees us
Yes.
to embrace all of our history, the history in which all things are made new. Our invitation, the one that is offered to us with each and every breath, is to trust that we are loved and that a new word has been spoken about us. A new story is being told about us. Now, that word trust is a rare word. Jesus invites us to trust that the love we fear is too good to be true is actually good enough to be true. It is written in one of John's
Yes.
letters in the scriptures that we will be, let me redo that. What we will be has not been made known. Jesus invites us
Yes.
to become, to be drawn into this love as it shapes us, forms us, and takes over every square inch of our lives. Jesus calls us to have our minds and hearts transformed so that we see everything differently. It will require a death, a humbling, a leaving behind of the old mind, and at the same time it will require an opening up, a loosening our hold and letting go so that we can receive, expand, find, hear, see, and enjoy. Love is what God is. Love is why Jesus came, and love is why he continues to come year after year, in person after person. Love is why I have written this book, and love is why I want to leave it with you. May you experience this vast, expansive, infinite, indestructible love that has been yours all along. May you discover that this love is as wide as the sky and as small as the cracks in your heart no one else knows about. And may you know deep in your bones, love wins.
Yes. Oh,
Please
that just makes
get
me want to
this
cry.
book. If you are
Mm.
trying to go through the journey of tradition to truth, if you are on that journey, Love Wins by Rob Bell will radically
Loved ones.
change your existence.
Oh, thank you so much, Trisha. That was so beautiful and such a beautiful, it was perfect. It's just so perfect for everything that we're talking about. And I want to close by saying this, that love wins. He's right. Love wins. And so I want to say that as you're on this journey, whether you find yourself in confusion, whether you find yourself in anger, whether you find yourself in fear, whether you find yourself feeling lost, all you want to do, what will help you the most, is to move closer and closer to love. Move closer and closer to love. No matter whatever feeling you're experiencing, move closer and closer to love. Love heals. Love will make you brave. Love will allow you to go into places that you would not otherwise go. It will take you into the deeper waters. Love wins. Love never fails. Love wins. He's so right. Love wins. I love this book. I love
It's
this book.
wonderful. It's
So
an
yes,
amazing book. Yeah.
just that passage was
Yeah.
beautiful and just so beautiful. So I want to leave you with that. No matter what's happening, no matter what you're experiencing, if it feels overwhelming, move into love. Love wins. Love wins. Love wins. Thank you so much. It was so great to be here with you
I
guys. Thank
love
you for
when
joining us.
it's
Hi,
I
Connie. Good
love when
seeing
it's
you.
Tuesday
Thank
and
you,
it's time to
Aaron.
talk to you. It's wonderful.
Yes, thank you, Alex. Thanks you, everybody. I see you all. Thank you. I love you. Thank you for being here. I'll get in touch with you, Krista, for your 50-minute session for free. And Trisha, I love you. as always.
Yes, just another wisdom keeper. And I'm grateful that we have teachers on this platform that are truly aligned their actions and their truth and their words. And that is imperative for this platform. I love the terminology you talked about is the spiritual scientist, because that's truly what we are. And we are like the series that I'm doing. I had to test it out. I had to go through the experiment phase to see, yes, this does work, and yes, I can share that. So, and one other thing I just want to mention, because you said something so beautiful, and that is maybe something that we say or anybody on this platform doesn't resonate with you, but I want to say this. As you go through the different layers of your life, what may not resonate with you today in a year may resonate with you. So always stay open. Just understand you don't have to reject somebody's truth. You can just honor it and say, I'm not ready for that yet. Because what I was ready for a year ago is not what I've embraced today. I'm truly a new creature. Old things have become new, all things. So with that being said, thank you so much, everyone. And again, we start tomorrow, which is Wednesday, at 10 a.m. with Bliss, and we will continue the Conscious Evolver series. So thank you so much, Laurie. Love you. All right.
Thank
Okay,
you.
bye,
I love
guys.
you too. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.